He appeared on Instagram portraying a lifestyle only led by the top 1%, the billionaires, those who command wealth. His rich persona took him places, meeting top politicians and celebrities every now and then. He was called the billionaire Gucci master because lavish lifestyle with branded clothes and bag was his thing. At one point, he became the role model of many Nigerians, but within a twinkle of an eye, he made it onto the FBI wanted list, and the reality was mind-blowing. This is the story of Hushpuppi. Stay back, relax, and let's get into it. Ramon Olurunwa Abbas, popularly known as Hushpuppi, was born on 11th October 1982 in Lagos State, Nigeria. He was born to a poor family where he had to hustle to survive in the city of Lagos. The early 1980s was one of the few moments in Nigeria when the economy was very tough. Not much has been said about Ramon Abbas's childhood, but unofficially, many people and platforms have explained that he didn't come from a rich home and struggled to even afford a good meal or a good cloth. During his active days on the internet, he prided himself of a humble beginning. In 2011, Hushpuppi began a journey on Instagram. He began posting pictures of lavish spending on exotic cars, watches, designer clothes and bags from expensive brands like Gucci, Fendi, and Louis Vuitton. He also had videos of himself boarding helicopters and associating with celebrities, footballers, and Nigerian politicians. He began building a persona of a rich lifestyle on Instagram. And then the question everybody was asking was, what does he do to have so much money to flaunt? This gave him the opportunity to present himself as a real estate developer. The validation he was always seeking was right there, and many people saw him as a role model and believed that if they could work harder, they could be just like him. This whole persona on Instagram as a billionaire Gucci master was an opaque persona behind something really dark. By the year 2017, his reputation had been so loud that he had a long ruining feud with Nigerian top musicians. One of these heated feuds was with Timaya. This caused the musician to compose and sing a diss song directed at Hushpuppi. The song Telly Person by Nigerian singer Timaya, featuring Olamide and Fino, was indirectly accusing him of spending his money lavishly on designer clothes and questioning his source of income. Many years later, the song was seen as a prophetic warning by lots of people. Hushpuppi continued displaying his rich lifestyle. Everything seemed normal, but unexpectedly, an opportunity was presented to him, and this is where the mysteries began unraveling. In December 2019, Hushpuppi joined a scam which was already in progress. Hushpuppi was an expert in business compromise scams, but this time, it was something old school. This job was a typical advance fee scam where the victim is lured into paying a little upfront fee for something even better which will never come. He received a message from a Kenyan entrepreneur, Abdul Rahman Juma, who was working on a huge deal. According to prosecutors, Juma offered to include Abbas in an advance fee scam involving a desperate businessman hoping to build an international school in Qatar. The businessman needed a 15 million loan for the project and hired a financial advisor to help secure it. Unfortunately, the advisor's assistant ended up googling sources of multi-dollar loans. That search led to Juma and his Nairobi company, Westload Financial Solutions Limited. Westload's website promised financial solutions specialized in financing projects from inception right through operations. Even though the site was crowded with a lot of errors, including occasionally referring to the company as West Financial, but all these red flags were ignored. In November 2019, the business person traveled to meet Juma and a colleague at West Low's offices on the 6th floor of a modern glass office tower in Nairobi's business district. There, according to the US government allegations, Juma signed a contract to arrange the 15 million loan in exchange for a 164,000 upfront consultation payment. The next day, the business person sent the upfront fee to a law firm of Juma's choice. The scam had already succeeded at this point, but why not try for more? When the business person complained that the money hadn't arrived in his account in Qatar, this opened doors for another layer of the scam. Juma replied that it was stuck and it would take an additional $150,000 to release the money. Once again, the business person complied and paid the additional $150,000 for his money to be released. At this point, according to the court document, Juma engaged Abbas to help with yet another round of con. Abbas would pose as a bank manager in the US who could unstick the loan. Through WhatsApp, Abbas messaged the business person from a New York City phone number, introducing himself as Malik, the director of the bank responsible for crediting the funds. He gave an excuse that because the Qatari government was under US sanctions, the money would have to go through an American account and he was ready to offer his assistance. He began the process by arranging for a contact in Los Angeles to register a company with the same name as the business person's Qatari company. Then, he had a Wells Fargo account opened for the business. There was just one last obstacle. Malik now told the business person they would also need an account in the UK to receive the money. He said he would open an investor's account with one private banking service over there for an advance fee of $330,000. This meant that the businessman needed to pay an extra fee for him to get his money. After a week of hesitation, the business person wired $230,000 of the total to a bank Malik provided. As it happened, the account belonged to a watch dealer in Florida. The exact amount covered a rose gold and titanium Richard Mille watch that Hushpuppi acquired. This was a piece to the puzzle the FBI unraveled. The remaining $100,000 was sent by the businessman to a Capital One account held by another Abbas associate. Abbas used half of it to purchase bogus citizenship from St. Kitts and Nevis, a transaction that involved bribing a government official and faking a marriage certificate. A week later, the watch made its first appearance on Hushpuppi's Instagram feed. In the image, he was standing on a royal purple carpet of Palazzo Versace, Dubai, wearing a Gucci Mickey Mouse t-shirt, displaying his $230,000 watch. He captioned this post as, "One of the best things I learned that keeps me going is to never take criticism from people I will never go to for an advice. Hashtag Gucci, hashtag Richard Mille, hashtag Versace." By January 2020, according to prosecutors, Abbas and Juma were ready for another goal. Abbas called on a compatriot in Nigeria, Vincent Kelly Chibozo, to create a bogus Wells Fargo website and automate support line, which Malik passed on to the business person. This was purposely to create the impression that the money had gone through. It was so timely that when the business person called the fake phone number, the system said the $15 million had gone through. Out of excitement, he reached out to Malik, expressing his excitement. At this stage, they've been able to convince the business person that the money is already in his account in the United States. The next phase was quickly rolled out. They reached out to the business person once more, claiming that he owed a withholding tax of $575,000 and it needs to be paid in full before the money can be transferred from the United States. As at this stage, there were three major players in the game: Abbas, popularly known as Hushpuppi, Juma, and then Chibozo. According to the allegations, Chibuzo began complaining that he deserved a bigger share of the money. When Abbas ignored him, he decided to play a smart move. On 13th January, he called the business person directly and told him that both Juma and Malik were con artists, exposing them greatly. He explained to him that he is genuine, and if there are any hopes of the deal going through, it should be through him. But unfortunately, the business person disclosed all this to Juma, who informed Abbas about it. Abbas angrily replied Juma, saying that he would deal with Chibuzo, and this brought in another interesting character. Abbas picked his phone and called a senior police officer who is well celebrated for his fight against crime in Nigeria. He was celebrated and honored for being able to make difficult arrests, but beneath all this super cop fiasco, he was deadlier than the people he arrested. Hushpuppi and the super cop Qatari had connected before when the police officer paid a visit to Dubai, receiving an extraordinary hospitality funded by Hushpuppi. The setup was made by Abbas, and Qatari picked up Chibuzo. Before the arrest was made, Abbas sent a message to Chibuzo saying, "You have committed a crime that won't be forgiven." The message was explicit and threatening, but Chibuzo didn't know where the attacks were going to come from. By 20th January, Chibuzo was arrested by Qatari, who sent a headshot of Chibuzo looking despondent. "We have arrested a guy," he wrote. "He's in my cell now. This is his picture after we arrested him today," unquote. Quickly, Abbas responded, "I want him to go through serious beatings of his life." He explained to Qatari how Chibuzo had double-crossed him in a multi-million-dollar scam. Abbas sent a message reading, "Please sir, I want to spend money to send this boy to jail. Let him go for a very long time. Let me know how I can send money to the team, sir. Let them deal with him like an armed robber. I want him to suffer for many years." Qatari tested a Nigerian bank account number to Hushpuppi. According to the prosecutors, this step completed the crime, concluding Qatari and his team's illegal arrest. The business person began realizing that he was in the midst of intelligent predators. But looking at how much money was at stake, he was still available for another manipulation. Having built that on Juma, Malik told him that he could get him out of the mess for a fee of $180,000. At this moment, it was every man for himself. Chibuzo was later freed by the corrupt cop, but to him, this was enough lesson to be silent about the operation. By March 2022, the scam was at the final turn, with Hushpuppi being the brain behind it. He was able to extract additional $180,000 in transfer. This added up to total $1.5 million in advance fees. The business person realized he was being scammed and opted out. Hushpuppi's time in the game was getting closer to its end. Three months later, a guest apartment in Palazzo Versace was raided in an operation codenamed Fox Hunt 2. He was arrested alongside 11 others by the Dubai Police Force, working hand in hand with America's Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. The detectives seized more than 150 million dirham, which was about $40 million in cash, 13 luxury cars worth 25 million dirham, which was about $7 million, 21 laptops, 47 smartphones, 15 memory storage devices, 5 external hard drives, and 800,000 emails of potential victims, alongside suitcases full of cash. He is believed to have been connected with one of the most dangerous cyber criminals in the world. Within a few days, Abbas was on a plane to the United States in FBI custody. On 28 July 2021, the US Department of Justice announced that Abbas has pleaded guilty to money laundering. The same day, the Justice Department revealed that it has indicted Juma, Chibuzo, Chari, and 3 US-based defendants on charges of conspiring to commit fraud and money laundering. Juma, Abbas, and Chibuzo were accused of direct fleecing the business person. Nigeria's Super Cop Chari was not spared. He was accused of aiding and abetting conspiracy by jailing Chibuzo in exchange for a bribe. The Hushpuppi trial had been ongoing for over 2 years, with more evidence of cybercrime popping up at every level of investigation. On September 19, 2022, the final appeal was scheduled and superintended by Justice Otis Wright. Before the time was due, Hushpuppi wrote a personal letter to the court, narrating his source of wealth, criminal adventure, and regret. He apologized to his family members for bringing them shame, while commending the FBI for doing a thorough job while bringing him to justice. On 19 September 2022, Judge Otis Wright delayed Hushpuppi's sentence to 3rd November 2022. The world was waiting to see the fate of the billionaire Gucci master. On 8 November 2022, Hushpuppi was sentenced to over 11 years in prison. This is a story of deception at the highest level. This is why the Instagram influencer and real estate guru turned out to be a big fraud. On social media, anybody at all can live a fake life, so don't fall for the screen. Live your life, work hard, and you will make it genuinely. Always remember, when it is too good to be true, it probably isn't. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. This has been Bernard, and you've been watching African Dream Motivation. Kindly subscribe for more.